I don't wanna.
All right, well, I'll be here then. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all the tweets.
I don't want to be on video.
All of the tweets that Gina Raimondo did, and Mom just goes, "She's a Nazi." that was the funniest response she could have possibly given to that. It was so.
Funny.
It felt. I mean, I know it was provoked, obviously, but it felt so unprovoked, and all of a sudden, Mom's just like, "She's a Nazi," and I'm like, "Okay."
Well, she got to the crux of the matter very quickly.
Yes.
There was not a lot of back and forth about it. It was just like, she's a Nazi.
Mom was just like, "I'm done. I don't even want to have this conversation. I'm gonna give you my opinion, and that's it."
Right. I am amazed how they, like a governor can just change all the laws.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna change this law. You think there'd be some? I mean, that really is. That is really like a dictator, if not a Nazi, at least a dictator. Somebody can say, "This is what I decided is best."
That
but
is
what if that one person is wrong?
It almost feels like to me, because here's my thing. I understand the reason all of it's happening. Like, there's a reason behind it. But then I think to myself,
You're gonna put that defroster back on, sorry.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna turn the temperature.
Crack your window.
I'm gonna turn the temperature down.
Well, I mean, I'm clear of bullets.
Not a lot, just a little. But I think about it is, if the government wanted to, it'd be so easy for them to take over, because they control the media, so they could just make up a virus or something, and then they could, and everyone that's in part of having the government take over might not even know about it, because it could be people like Gina Raimondo that just want to look good. They don't need to be in on the conspiracy.
Yeah, I always feel like that kind of stuff, like you'd have to have a huge amount of people involved. So it'd be really hard. The government, I mean, the word government's one word, but but government is thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. So you'd have to have a lot of people complicit without word getting out. It seems to me to be pretty impossible to do that.
I don't know.
For more than 10 minutes. Before somebody would go out. But you could have people with the same ideology, all thinking the same way. All of us seeing the rules and going, well, if you're trying to protect people, you do that. You'd clean the pens, or you do certain things. The fact you don't do it makes us not take you seriously. So, like, pet stores are open. There's no reason for pet stores to be open. Absolutely no reason. You get whatever you need at Walmart or the stores where groceries are bought. That do have to be open. So why have these other stores open and all those employees at risk?
I'm supposed to advertise this. 99 has 20% off all orders if you do take out. You don't have to have a coupon.
No.
Why do you keep hitting the windshield wiper thing?
Because it's too cloudy.
Oh.
Can you see? I probably need defrosters on.
No, I was just wondering why
you hit the defroster. I just got fog at my height.
That's what the problem is. But I was just confused because you kept like hitting it.
It was foggy on the way here, but you breathed more. You can increase the breathe load by twice.
So it's because I'm catching up on all the breathing that I missed by having a mask on my face.
Media have weakened themselves with a lot of lying and fake news. So people who have recognized that are going, is this more of that or is this real?
I saw this video recently where it was showing, there's probably like 12 different news outlets, and they all said the same. It was basically a thing saying how, like, you need to be careful about where you're getting your news from because you don't know it's being controlled, which was really ironic considering it was word for word the exact same thing they said on 12 different stations that are like different sources, like that seemed like they would be all from different perspectives too, like liberal or conservative or whatever. But really, that's like, it makes you think, like, are they all just trying to control us to like think the same thing?
Well, they are in a way, like flatten the curve.
Yeah.
Look how that took over. That saying took over. That makes me nervous when I all of a sudden hear people I know, not just the media, but the media is usually leading it. Or politicians say it, and then the media goes, "Oh, that's good."
I do understand how it works, though. I watched a video that explained it.
Explain what?
What flattening the curve meant. It doesn't necessarily mean preventing as many people from getting sick.
No, I know. I totally get what I get what it means.
A lot of people don't get it, and they're just like, "What is?" Because I've talked to a lot of people that be like, "Oh yeah, flatten the curve," and I'm like, "Yeah, what is that?" Like, before I knew what it meant, I was like, "What does that mean?" And they're like, and then they couldn't really explain it to me.
Isn't that funny? I've said the same thing. So many people don't even know what they're saying. They say it, but they don't know what they're saying.
Okay, so then I went and did my own research, and I was like, "Okay, this does actually make sense." And what they're saying to me, it makes sense. To me, it makes sense.
Well, it may make sense if the experts are right about the nature of the virus, but they don't even know. So if this virus is
Well,
one
they've
that
tracked it from China and stuff, and
no,
according.
the nature of the virus, they can't know the long-term nature of the virus.
Well,
So
China's
just-
gone down now; it's declined. So basically, it does the exponential growth thing.
You cannot trust China, Sarah. Not one word they say can you trust. They just had rioting in Wuhan because they were going to let some of those people cross over a bridge into the next town over, and the next town over was rioting because the next town over knows it's not really clear Wuhan, but they are claiming it's clear Wuhan. So you really have to wait for like a free country to start reporting before you can
South
believe
Korea
it.
is not a free country, right?
It is. South Korea is a free
Because
country.
South Korea is reporting the same thing, that they're like having that drop off of like.
Well, it is a free country, so I would trust their data more, but it's also not a country. The other part of it is demographics and the nature of the country. So, for instance, Italy, it's all theory because there's no official testing done, but Italy is got a population of much older people,
Yeah. Ali was talking about
much
that.
higher rates of smoking.
Ali was saying how there's more likely for people in Italy to die just because like the population in general is a lot older
Right.
than the population would
It's a
be
lot
like
older.
here.
It's a lot older. It's a lot more smokers, which is a high risk.
Yeah.
It's a lot culturally they're much more touchy-feely than other societies, and this is true. You see it in Rhode Island a lot. There's a lot of intergenerational living together. So
Yeah.
if you looked at the median age of children living, or the percent of children over 30 in Italy who still live with their parents, it's a huge percent compared to like the U.S., where in the U.S. it's like 7%, and in Italy it's like 30%. I'm making those numbers up, but it's in that ballpark. So that makes a difference because now you now have young people who are more likely to be asymptomatic or have low symptoms or few symptoms, living with older people much more than you do in other countries.
Yeah.
So all those factors are in play, and unless you run like official studies, you're kind of guessing, educated guessing, but you're guessing. So how does that mean? It's kind of like New York City. They're a hotbed. New Orleans is a hotbed. Why? Much more densely populated areas.
Yeah.
So once it gets out there, it's going to spread much quicker than in Hope Valley, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So there's just...
In the words of you said once, Hope Valley, a bomb could go off in Hope Valley and it wouldn't be on the news.
When Raimondo shut down the borders, in the newspaper at least, they only talked about Massachusetts, and she said, well, we can't really control Massachusetts because there's a lot of back and forth, so we're not stopping Massachusetts plague, so we're going to be as concerned about Massachusetts, but she never mentioned Connecticut. It's as if...
Connecticut
And we live 2 miles from
I've
Connecticut.
heard nothing about Connecticut.
Right, but isn't
It's
it interesting
so weird.
how, because that end of the state, the northern end of the state...
Can you not drive your car because of Illinois plates?
I could drive it, but I'm more likely to get pulled over.
But if you took your license out and like showed that you had like a Rhode Island license, would it be fine?
I don't know, but it's a work car, so I wouldn't be driving it anyway because it's a work car. So I would take this car or your car. Which reminds me, I've got we never started your car, so when we get home, you should start
My
it.
car needs gas.
Well, you should start it just to make sure it needs to get started once in a while. You can put gas in it the next time you need to go shopping or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was very interesting that Connecticut is totally overlooked, and the fact that there's Rhode Islanders who live, literally, there's Rhode Islanders who live 100 feet probably from the Connecticut line, and they're not supposed to go in Connecticut. But if you live in Rhode Island, you go in Massachusetts, that's been addressed or at least acknowledged that exists. It's not even acknowledged that there's a good number of Rhode Islanders, not city size, not northern Rhode Island size, but a good number of us who live, a few miles away or even a few feet away. So I just thought that was interesting how, that gets noted quite often that Rhode Island politicians are very focused on that end of the state.
Yeah.
They might not even, some of them probably never even been down to this end.
I feel like no one knows this part of the, like Rhode Island's such a small state and yet so many people are like, Hopkinton? What's that? Like,
Well, they've heard of it, but they really don't know.
Whereas like if I hear anywhere from like is Southern Rhode Island the top part of the state, or are we Southern Rhode Island?
West Southern, then north.
Okay, northern part of Rhode Island. I've heard of like most places in northern Rhode Island. I feel like no one's ever really said a place to me where I'm like, what's that?
Right. Yeah. Well, there might be like little
Tiny towns.
villages, not really towns, but like Hope Valley is a
Like,
village.
yeah, I never say
Hopkinton.
Hope Valley. I say Hopkinton because I know people.
So Hopkins is the town. So
Yeah.
in Providence, there's Onlyville, there's Hope, there's areas of Providence that have names, but they're
Yeah.
not like official towns or anything that you probably haven't heard.
Yeah.
But you've heard of the actual town.
I feel like I have heard of Onlyville.
Yeah, you probably did. I mean, you
It's
can only.
Providence,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it's part of Providence. So it's like a Hope Valley in Providence.
Yeah. Well, not like Hope Valley, but in Providence.
Right, right. But yeah, it is interesting how that works.
Sometimes I feel like if you went to Gina Raimondo and said something about what's happening in Hope Valley, she would be like, "What's that?"
Right.
Like,
Westerly, they seem to know Westerly.
They
Probably
do.
Probably because Taylor Swift lives there. I think before
Usually-
Taylor Swift moved in, they probably didn't know it.
usually, if people say where's Hopkinton, I go, "It's near Watch Hill and Westerly."
Yeah.
Because I know people. That's like a name that a lot of people know.
Right, right. Strawberry Park closed down. The state closed them down today. All campgrounds in Connecticut down today. Although
What does that mean exactly?
that means it's shut down. I mean, the workers can be there, getting things ready.
So we can't go there?
We cannot go there at all. No.
Did
I mean,
Robert get out of there?
Yeah, he did. You technically you couldn't go there anyway because you'd be leaving the state of Rhode Island, but
Yeah.
which is interesting because we could go all the way to Pawtucket, which is like a 45-minute drive, and then if we got deeper into Pawtucket, we could literally drive about an hour away from our house and be conforming, but we can't drive 5 minutes away from our house.
Yeah.
We can go to Walmart in Murrayville if they have one, but we can't go to Walmart 20 minutes from our house.
Yeah. Do they have people like at the borders if a Rhode Island car leaves? Do you know?
I bet they do on some of the bigger roads, but they could never cover all the roads. I don't even know if there's enough cops to cover all the roads. So they may, ultimately have one on a major road out, but
The National Guard guys that were like at the airport seem so bored.
yeah.
Like
They
there's
should be. The guys at that rest area, I'm telling you, I don't know how many there were, but there were vehicles. There was
Yeah.
at least 6 vehicles. So there's at least 6 guys bored to tears.
yeah.
Probably could be doing something useful, but instead are there checking New York people who now know that they're being checked. So the only New York people who are coming through here right now
I
are
heard-
people who are really coming through here and have legitimate purposes.
I heard that like before that though there were a lot of New York plates around.
Oh, I'm sure. I see lots of people.
I didn't know. I'm hoping it'll be fine by like May though. Like all of this
I'm
will have
hoping.
died down.
But going back to what you were talking about earlier, Sarah, we're flattening the curve. You know what that means? It means that
It means it takes longer to get rid of.
it means it,
Because
yeah,
it's
it
even
takes
if as
longer.
many people get sick, the whole point is to keep the hospitals from getting overwhelmed.
And
so
it
it'll
theoretically
take a
could
longer
mean
amount
that
of
we
time.
have to go through this again.
Yeah.
In the fall, if it goes away or diminishes enough in the summer for them to allow us to have some of our freedom back, it could be in the fall they do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And in the long term, so there's a medical side of this and there's an economic side. There's probably other sides too, but let's just use those two sides. So there's a medical side that say by not doing certain things, this many people will die.
Although I did hear,
and it's pretty clear
I know-
cut.
I
Let me
know where
finish
you're
this
going.
thought.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's pretty clear cut. There's an economic side that is probably impossible to measure how many lives you lose, but you lose
Yeah.
lives when you diminish an economy. People in Nigeria don't live as well and don't get as good medical care and don't have the same health outcomes
Yeah.
that people in richer countries because the economy doesn't allow them to do that. So there is a cost, and it's not well known. In the medical side of things, don't understand the economic side at all, and it's not as clear cut to them.
Mhm.
It's not even clear cut to economists, but it's there. Where it is, I don't know. Economists would only be guessing, but it definitely exists.
Yeah.
So there is a point where you have to say, no, this isn't worth it. I don't know who says that. I guess it'll be the president and governors, but there definitely is a point where that exists. And
I feel like
unfortunately,
I'm
people
one of the
don't
few
want to even
people-
talk about it.
No, I saw this really funny thing. I think the funniest clip I saw of Trump from all of this is, why would you call it the Chinese virus when that's like considered a racist? Because it comes from China. Yeah, but it's really offensive. It comes from China. And he says it like that. And I thought it was so funny the way he said it. He goes, China.
Because they don't seem to get it.
Yeah.
And it comes from China, so therefore it's a Chinese virus.
No, what was I gonna say? I don't know. I still am of the opinion that I don't like. He's not the most well-spoken person, but I don't think the way he's handling it is necessarily bad.
No,
Whereas a
I think
lot of people think it's like really
there's
terrible.
no
but
perfect way to handle it because nobody
Yeah.
even knows how
exactly.
you should
That's
handle
kind of how I feel. I feel like everyone who's doing something is doing what they feel's right, even if it's not necessarily right. But everyone's trying their best right now.
it. Yeah, I like the fact that he doesn't lock into anything. Because what
Yeah.
happens is if you say flatten the curve and then somewhere along the line you go, oh shoot, that was not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
When you're locked into it like so many people are, it's almost embarrassing to go, uh-oh, that was a mistake. He doesn't lock in. So he may be embracing it now or doing the steps now, but like this Easter thing. He said maybe Easter. Well, now I haven't heard him mention it because I'm assuming he's decided that's probably not the date that's going to work.
Yeah.
But by saying that, it's telling me he doesn't lock into anything.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are almost like fanatical about it, or they want to be right so much that they're not willing to back off when it is proven they're wrong about something. I think it's very important to have that kind of personality where you may not admit it a mistake, but you move on from a mistake.
I saw this thing where it was like, things in the world have to be pretty bad for the Pope to go, you know what? This year, Jesus stays dead.
Yeah, that's not a meme that a lot of Catholics would like to hear, but yeah.